Hey, this is Sharon Raji Maynard, and this is my new podcast, Gazelles and the Phoenix. So why gazelles and the phoenix? Well, there's an old quote that says, I'm going to stop focusing on the dinosaurs. Just let them die. Instead, I'm going to focus on the gazelles. Gazelles are those individual projects and organizations and individuals that are rising up out of the ashes, even before the dinosaurs are gone. So I have had the wonderful experience of meeting a lot of gazelles, being in company of those who are holding space as the phoenix rise from the ashes. So this podcast will be episodes to share with you those individuals, those groups, those ideas. Some of them will come from monthly meetings that are sponsored by the patrons of my other podcast, A Mystic's View. If you're interested in becoming part of that supportive community, go over to patreon.com/A Mystic's View. And there you can get details. We're a growing community. We're committed to a collaborative mindset, and it's a joyful experience. So thank you for those patrons that enable me to do this podcast. And I'm excited to share with you gazelles that are rising up like phoenixes from the ashes. We're just about ready to go live. And so when we do that, we'll welcome everyone and shift from this introduction screen to a people screen. So we'll just enjoy the reading of what it is you're all about, Laurie. I'm just going to let that scroll down. So in the recording, people will be able to read this information. So welcome everyone to this Patreon-sponsored conversation. And I really want to thank my Patreon sponsors because their contributions have made it possible for me to take some time that I would normally have to be doing something else to interview women who are doing really wonderfully amazing and interesting things in our world. So thank you, Patreon sponsors. It's wonderful to be free, have enough freedom to do that. And as you can see, we have with us Laurie Reyon Anderson and Puddah, the cat.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Everyone is on mute, just so you'll know. It's not that we are ignoring you, but you're on mute for right now. We always gather, when we gather in the Mystic's View in any of the work I do, I just reaffirm that we're gathering in sacred space, respectful, generous, protected, loving space, and just reaffirming that for us here today. Well, just in welcoming Laurie, I'll tell you a little bit about the outline of the day of this conversation, so you'll know, and then we'll turn the time over to her. So, what we will do is just introduce. I'll introduce Laurie. We will turn the time over to her. We might have our questions answered as she talks, and we may not, because after about 20, 25 minutes, we'll open up the floor and ask questions, discuss whatever it is that's on our mind to do before we close. So welcome, everyone. And again, this is A Mystic's View, Building Deeper Roots, and it's made possible by my Patreon sponsors. And thank you, sponsors, for that opportunity. So the last 2 months, we have had different women. One woman who spoke to the bees, Jacqueline Freeman. We had one woman, Julie Sherratt-Nunn, who taught us about speaking with the herbals and how to gain value there. So this is perfect, right in alignment to what nature has to offer to us, speaking to those who are using that idea. We talk about it, and a lot of times we aren't necessarily doing it. So today I am so thrilled to have with me Laurie Reyon Anderson. She's an internationally known interspecies communicator and soul healer, and we'll certainly let her talk more about that. I don't know if this would be true or not, but I would say her specialty is her ability to work, speak with, swim with, invite others to come with her in being with the dolphins and the whales. And that's not all that she does, but she certainly knows those kingdoms, and that is intriguing to me. So I'm going to open up the floor for Laurie to speak. I know you're going to talk to us about why you're even doing what you're doing. And beyond that, what she wanted as a topic today is called Communication and Healing with the Great Whales. I don't know anything about that. So, Laurie, you're on. We're here. We're so pleased to have you with us.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And thank you to my good friend Shirley. I think she had something to do with this.
She did. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
We share with each other.
Shirley's a really dear friend, lived here in San Diego, and I got to know her and her incredible horse. And we had some incredible communications. We even had a class where her horse taught the class, really. And I was just the voice. It was just amazing. Anyway, since she's moved up to Washington now, we're still connected through our mastermind group and just through life, Shirley's awesome. So we should just acknowledge her for the work that she does in the world and the amazing presence that she holds. So thank you, Shirley, for the invitation and the setup here. This is my partner, Master Cat Puddah. When I say partner, I mean, I'm talking not just a cat. I mean, she looks like a cat, and right now she's acting kind of like a cat, but she's very much, our communications obviously are telepathic, but she's easily 50% of everything that I do. She's a wisdom teacher, or she's been acknowledged by other groups in the world, including Cryon, as an ascended master. She's a healer in her own right. And I have to say, a lot of the amazing things I'm doing right now are because she pushed me to do them. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of work. I was whiny, and she'd say, just do it. That's why we're here. Give me the opportunity. Because she can't drive herself to all these things that we do, So she travels with me. She's pretty much just like this when we travel. She's been around the world, really, and she works with amazing groups of people, and is a very big part of our Whale and Dolphin Energy Medicine School, which is now coming up to its 3rd year, which is where I've taken 19 years of working with the whales and dolphins and created some structure with their help to open up to modalities where the whales and dolphins are teaching us. So it's amazing. I didn't know if I could do that over the years of just channeling them on my own and thinking that everything that I did was completely unique for each person. But we found a common way to do that, to structure where other people can channel the whales and dolphins, and we can receive what I call an update or an upgrade calibration of the codes of creation that they carry. The whales are the elders on our planet, and they really are amazing in the sense of when we can communicate with them, how they can structure their ability to use their energy body, their etheric body, to come to our homes and to surround us and give us an alignment, and continue to teach us about what would be considered the ascension path, which is, one step in front of the other, moving towards living in a higher dimension, living in a higher frequency, and certainly living in a healthier body. So I first connected to the dolphins. They came first, and I worked with them for many years. And in 2008, we reached what I call the whale frequency, and I got my first message from the whales. And that sort of it's been my path. It just sort of took over. It's happened one day at a time, but we're thrilled. And Puddah's, she's not a whale. She doesn't heal like the whales do. She heals in a different way. She works, I would say, in partnership with them as well. I have a couple of different scientists that are actually studying her, and they said she moves your stem cells in coordination with what the whale's doing, that she has like a laser focus. So, but what else do you want to say? Just open everyone's hearts to receive communications from the greater body of healers and teachers on our planet, who are the animals. Most people don't know that. People have karma. We have an incredible reason to be here, to choose our life in love in every aspect, in thought, word, and deed. To be loving or not to be loving, really, is the question each day, right? To decide what vibration you want to live in. But with the animals, their vibration is not like that. They don't have the free will choice that we have. They have the journey, and they have a purpose, and they're very, very happy to be in service to you. So I always say, if you want to see more mastery from your animals, all you have to do is recognize them as a master. You have to say to them, I'd like to see that part of you. And then they will show that part to you. And then from that point, it's just a continual upgrade where they show you more each and every day, can teach you. So I could share some channeling, if you like, that we've done with the whales, which better describes who they are. We can talk about the different more practical purposes of why this is important to you, particularly right now on the planet. So whales have this amazing ability to shield us. Just about 4 days ago, I had a conversation with the whales, which is not every day for me. They contact me when they want to talk. I don't have a phone where I can call them up. I do with the dolphins. I can contact the dolphins, and I can speak to them every day about all kinds of things, about our relationships and personal things in our lives. And dolphins are actually whales. They're toothed whales, but the whales that I speak of that are the higher frequency, that do the godlike healing, basically they're called humpback whales. They're baleen whales, so there's a different frequency. And they are the ones that have been the overlighting presence, really, for change for me, and for understanding that this is something that I chose before I was born. I just had to reach a certain frequency to where it would resonate with me, and I would pick up the mantle and carry it and go forward, sort of like a messenger for them. But anyway, the whales just told me 4 days ago that they actually have a special ability to do lots of things with different pandemics or diseases that come around. And they said, I'm surprised that you didn't actually know that in your heart. I said, well, perhaps I did, but it's good to hear. Mm-hmm. So they have me working now on a particular meditation, I guess you'd say, a process that they're going to show me, where it should be available next week if I get myself, into it this weekend, where they can come in and they can put a boundary, a specific type of vibrational boundary around people to protect them from getting the virus, and also to heal them if they have it. So that's exciting. I'm going to be doing that in group classes very soon, within 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I think that's nice to know that they can help with the situation that's going on right now. But of course, each person that would participate would have to give permission. They can't do anything without permission. So that's good news. I had to tell you that.
That's very good news.
Yeah.
What I would want to know too is, you finally became aware that this was a unique possibility for you. I mean, you could say mission, but also we have to say yes to that mission, or we have to invite from our animals, which is also really wonderful to hear that the animals have this capacity. And if we only see them as that's where they are for us. Right.
They can't show you.
Yeah. And if we ask for more.
They're not allowed to frighten you.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Other things they could do might frighten you. They have great capabilities.
Yeah. So what was it? Because I'm not there. I'm not where I can speak to dolphins or whales. I've done a little animal, but what was it that sparked you or got you to that place that you went, oh my gosh?
Well, I get asked this a lot. So there's really two categories here. The first category is well, let me back up and say one more thing. In order to communicate with animals or angelics, higher beings, you have to open your third eye, and that's the pineal gland. That's an actual physical organ that God has given us to communicate with spirit, or to communicate with the word we would use as telepathic. But it doesn't work if you don't recognize it, and it doesn't work if you're not in your heart space, if you're not feeling love. If you're up here in your mind, and you're playing the Puddah calls the ping pong mind, I can do it, I can't do it, I can do it, I can't do it, where you're constantly having a great idea, but the other part of you is talking you out of it, or telling you can't do it, or you're not worthy, or how would you ever afford that? You know what I'm talking about? That analytical process that'll break you down. If you're there, you cannot do this work. Okay, you have to surrender to the heart, and you have to believe that you are worthy. And even though you don't have the capabilities in your physical body, the animals do, we do have the capability to hear them, and we do have the capability to follow their advice and their suggestions and to evolve. Doesn't it make sense in a world where we've been put here as, I guess you would say, we've physically chosen to be anesthetized, so to speak, to not have the consciousness that we would have when we're not on Earth, to put ourselves to sleep, so to speak, to have the awakening process, that we would be surrounded with beings that are awake so that they would take care of us. Does that make sense? So that alone was evident to me when I was a child. And so for that purpose alone, I think my third eye, either I was born with it open or it opened as a child, because I communicated with animals as a child, as a teenager, particularly with dogs, cats, and horses. Okay? Horses were my best friends. All I wanted to do was be on a horse. All I wanted to do was talk to my horse. And that led to me having I would say my first career, which was traveling as a trick rider. I was born in rural Nebraska, and I ended up being for 4 years part of the Buffalo Bills Wild West show, which is kind of a big deal back there at the time. The people came from LA, trick riders and rodeo people and all that, to train the local people and to do it as a show, And I was just over the moon to be in that show. I just loved it. It was the greatest thing in my summer life. And then when I was older, my horse became a very special part of the show. Sort of like Puddah is now. Everybody wanted to use my horse for their act. And so when the show went on the road, they figured out a way for me to go, even though I was underage. And of course, I thought I was a big star. It was my horse that was the big star. So we came to LA, and I fell in love, and I always knew I wanted to be where the ocean was. And that was a big calling for me. And I stayed. I even finished high school in Burbank, California, and went to college. And of course, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian back in that day. So that's the first story, is what it was natural to me to communicate with animals. But you know what? I thought everyone did. I mean, I was really disappointed when people were cruel to animals, or they didn't seem to understand what their animal wanted. They'd say, "What's wrong with my horse?" And I did. Then I got glimmers of why maybe some people don't talk to their animals in the same way I do. But I used to say, I remember saying to my mom as a kid, I'd just say, if they just loved the horse would do anything for them. Because horses are loving beings, but they're cruel, and they even use the words like break the horse, and rodeo and all of that. So anyway, so that's my first story. The second story is I put all that to sleep when I got married, when I went to college, because I went into what would be considered Western medicine. And, I just didn't fit. I was like a round peg in the square hole. I just didn't fit. And I did 5 years of it, but, I never saw myself being happy, and also an unhappy marriage. So I kind of went down vibrationally for a period of time where I lost my confidence, and I lost my ability to feel that I could make a difference with the animals. Even though I know what veterinarians do, I don't mean to be disrespectful, because they do important work in the world, but it wasn't my path. And I hadn't yet discovered energy medicine, or, really that I could go back to being telepathic and I could find directly from the animal what they need and want. So that happened after, I was in my 30s now, and I had a near-death experience after a car accident. And I had an amazing cat, which is a previous incarnation of this soul that we call Safi. So her name is Puddah, but her soul name is Safi. And she just keeps coming back, And I've been in, I guess, Puddah school for a long time. So the frequency came back to me to communicate with animals when I was living in this little beach house in recovery after surgery and so forth from the accident. And the dolphins would come to my house every day, 3 dolphins in particular. And they were relentless with getting me back on track, And of course I could hear my cat. So that was cool. I never lost that ability. And my cat would say, Puddy would say, the dolphins want to talk to you. They want to tell you things. He was right. They did. So, and over the years of trusting that and doing it, it led me back to the whales in the sense of, I'm sure when I'm not on Earth, I'm very connected to them. But it led me back to the path I think I put in place for myself before I was born. I had a shaman recognize me in a fire circle once in Mexico. He said, "Your name is Standing Whale, Mother." And we journeyed to the planet of the whales. And I'm like, "We did?" I'm like, I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what he was talking about. So other people could see it before I could, is my point. And I'm so glad that I did wake up to it. So with some kicking and screaming, but resistance, but it's changed my life. And I used to have very, very severe seasickness. I couldn't go out on the boats, or maybe I'd have had the experience sooner because I did want to be out on the water. I had to heal that. So once I did heal that, then the relationship is quite different on the boat. It's really loving and friendly and fun. So about 10 years ago, I started creating retreats where we could go and be in the water with the dolphins and whales and on boats, and started channeling more on a regular basis. So,
there's a couple of things that I want to really point out, because you're talking about, in your youth, there's this ability that was just to you natural.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that everyone didn't have it. And yet there it was in your youth. And I wonder how many others of us, if we really let ourselves go back and go like, I remember that, there's a glimmer of it. And for those who have been fortunate, they may have had those spiritual teachers called moms and grandmas who nurtured it, but not many of us have had that. So it's having to go back. But I think there's the kernels in our youth that could be helpful. And the other thing that I find intriguing in what you're saying is like you were in recovery from surgery. Here's this accident.
Mm-hmm.
You're going down the path and that's not quite what you want to do in the veterinarian field. And the accident puts you in recovery. Yeah. And in that recovery time by the ocean, et cetera, and I'm going like, haven't we as a world been hit with a car called a virus?
Yes.
And said, go into recovery.
We're having a reset.
Go into retreat.
Yeah.
And what an opportunity. And look what happened to you that could be inspiring to us. Go like, yeah.
We all have that right now. We have the opportunity to reset and to change our belief systems to something other than what it was just a moment ago, and to say, okay, here's a choice to have fear or not to have fear.
Right. Yeah. And I believe, like you, that the wisdom holders are all around us, and often what we haven't done, we haven't turned and found them. Like there was your cat, and then there was the dolphins. So the wisdom teachers for us each, I believe, are all around us, and it's for us to go like, oh, I've been looking in the wrong direction. Here's the direction.
Right. And I didn't see you for who you are. I didn't know. I mean, haven't you even had that with a friend where relationship blossoms into something completely different, and people can then become more authentic? Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's anything better than that, is when we're surrounded with friends and family, or in our business, particularly I am, with people that just want to open their hearts. They just want to feel love, and they want to access these gifts we speak of, which allows us to communicate with the animals and with the angels, with spirit, and with finding out more about who you really are. Right. I think that's a big thing right now. It certainly has been in our classes. Partner Puddah here says she's an expert on what we consider the Akashic record. She's able to go into a person's life stream or path, and she can trace their lineage in just a few minutes, really, to where their star family is, who they really are, and help them with that. So she tells lots of stories about what happened during the starseed experiment and how humanity was sort of reinvented after Atlantis. And we were given the opportunity to come back into living in a 5D world, and that's what we're doing now, and to reactivate our strands of DNA. There are actually 12, and I think science teaches us there's 12. And so I would say since maybe 2009, the dolphins have come in and started to work with, right after 2008, they're saying. They gave me a message, and it's called Dolphins and DNA, and that was the first inkling I had in my analytical process of what the dolphins are really here to do. And they're here to use their, what they call the sonogenetic ability, what they have sonar. They can use that in the etheric and in the ocean to scan us and then to start making adjustments. They would be like the most scientifically advanced machine that's out there, even though they're not machines, they're in physical form, to adjust all of your maladies, and to bring your dormant DNA back online and to shut off genes. I've seen them work with even just autistic children in just one boat trip. Kids are completely changed, completely different. And it's sustainable too. Mm-hmm. Where they were angry, now they're laughing and they're happy. And, so they have amazing abilities. They've been here 30 million years. That's a long time. And they're really us in the future. They have the same chakra system, the same bone structure, 2 halves brain. But their brain is, it's huge and it's completely balanced through the brainstem. They're showing us what we're going to have, or how we'll be evolving into understanding communication in a completely different way, that'll actually be holographic. Pretty exciting, really, working with dolphins. And they're so joyful.
Yeah. What occurs to me when you say, their ability, because they broadcast, and that broadcasting frequency, that sonar has whatever levels that's at, it's broadcasting who they are, really. Mm-hmm. Like, if that is what you're just saying, what I'm hearing is like,
well, they don't hide it.
Are the future, right? And they're stable, right? And it's like we in human bodies broadcast too, but unfortunately, a lot of our vibrational makeup has been so crippled. We continue to broadcast not good, crippled stuff.
We're sending out toxic thoughts and behavior and all kinds of things.
Right. So,
and it's all because we don't have self-love.
Right.
Have that worthiness that the animals absolutely know who they are and what they're here to do.
Yeah. So by becoming aware, part of our path is becoming aware, and even beginning to say more of who I am is to be broadcast. It's like not only more of who our animals can bring to us, it's like maybe we also have to recognize we have to expand who am I. I want more of who I am to show. I want to expand what it is that I am at that even future level, that the dolphins can harmonize with us, etc.
That's so well said, because what you just said, basically, if people could wake up and they could discover even just one part of who they really are, that passionate part of them that comes in with the soul, okay? And it's so exciting when you tap into that, because you lose time. That's all you want to do, because that's who you are. It's like, we're very we're very happy about our life mission when we discover it, even part of it. And the dolphins are 24/7 doing that. They're being who they are.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how many of you have been out on a boat, but, if you go out on a boat and into the ocean and either you summon the dolphins or they see you and they just come roaring up to the boat, and they're just, yeah, and they're just so, so happy. They start flipping and jumping and riding their bows. And of course, in certain parts of the world, we can get in the water with them, and they just twist and twirl around you. I mean, they just love us. Mm-hmm. It's such an enthusiastic love. It's contagious.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Isn't that the future we want for humanity?
Yeah. They're joy ambassadors, is what they say. And joy, of course, is the frequency that we would like to live at, not just have once in a while.
Right.
Where we would, all have a very healthy immune system for starters, and we'd all be, on the path at some level of creating what we really came here to do.
Right.
No one's from here. We're just visiting. So you think about that. If you go to a job or something and people say, what are you here to do? And then you say, oh, I'm trained in this or I'm trained in that. We should do that with life. We should have school where people can go and discover when they're really young. Who are you? Where are you from? What did you come to the planet to do? Mm-hmm. And so we can help them do that before they ever get put in school or get programmed,
I totally agree. I know my work says that.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. That our responsibility as mothers, grandmothers, aunties was to educate that new baby immediately that there's two worlds, and one has these kinds of abilities, and it has limits. That spiritual world absolutely is with them always. That our intention was that we hold that in that view and vision for that child right from its beginning, and
absolutely,
this is great. I'm really understanding this work a lot more clearly, and I love having this conversation with you. So before I open up the floor, the whales is like the dolphins have a specific, or even if it's broad, they have some kind of a specific. This is our purpose, and some of that the whales have is different than the dolphins, and probably from the dolphins different than the whales.
Well, yes, but they are connected. Yeah. If it's okay, I'd love to share a short message from the whales that will tell you an awful lot about them.
I think that would be.
Yeah.
We'd all go for that.
Too, so. I was getting ready to go to Florida to a conference where you sign up to be on various podcasts, like yours, for example. Mm-hmm. And you basically want to say on your media sheet who you are, right? And mm-hmm. what your expertise is. Right. So I was trying to find a way to write about the whales and the work I do with them in this one sheet. I was in tears. I was like, how can I represent you in one sheet, And one of the great white whales, which is a big part of our work, came in and said, let me write it. And I went, really? And sure enough, he wrote it. So here it is. You're going to like it. He said, beloved humans, we are your elders, and we are the molecular librarians of Earth's history. We embody conscious creation, and we have the experience and intention to assist you with core level healing. It is our intention to assist humanity in claiming their mastery and restoring their physical forms to radiant health. As you awaken your dormant DNA, you will naturally evolve into awakened geniuses. You will then live and create from your hearts in communities across the globe where you change the outdated and broken structures of medicine, education, of government, and sustainable living. Connect with us now and we will accelerate your intention to evolve. We are solution energy. We are the great white whales, and I am Binda Kutta. We represent the cetacean nations of Earth, and we are cosmic creators. Namaste. That says a lot, doesn't it?
A lot more than just in that few minutes.
It's just a paragraph,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the work has evolved into really 3 different things that we do now. For people come to us, they're guided to us. We would ask them to open their hearts to do a whale healing and clearing, which is an infusion of what we would call the royal purple light, the transfiguring light of the violet flame. The whales are the violet flame, the humpback whales I'm speaking of now. Mm-hmm. And so we do that to clear their body and the energy, really at the subatomic level of lower energies of parasites, also old memories and toxic things that are, as much as they can, it's like a scouring. And then for those that are ready, they would want to start to activate what we call light body. And the whales, over a period of 2.5 years after, it started in 2011, gave us templates, step-by-step ways to calibrate that part of you, which would be your Merkaba, right, which is the living light body, to be able to hold more light, to intentionally evolve, I guess you would say, intentional evolution, to assist yourself in preparing not only for the ascension, but to carry more light, more responsibility, more wisdom, more of the ability to be, a real, Buddha says ground crew member here, spiritual ground crew member. So there's a study of that, basically, that they've given us. So, of course, there are layers to that when we work on someone as a facilitator, practitioner. But for other people who come into the school, then they study that, and they can start to connect and channel with all of the 12 white whales that are a part of the council of the cosmic creators. This whale that we just spoke with was one of those. And the third thing we do is we start then to work with the dolphins who come in and follow the whales. And they actually go in and use their abilities to calibrate the actual strands or the filaments, the telomeres, and so forth of our DNA. So we teach people a little bit about DNA and the emotional body being the creative force, as opposed to the analytical mind. So we start to get people to come back to living from the heart, living with the knowledge of when we're in our heart, we can only create sustainable, loving things. We can only speak loving things. When you're in your mind, you can get off track pretty quick and have a judgment. So it's retraining ourselves to be who we really are with their help. And some of that goes back to my teachings with Drunvalo, Melchizedek, the flower of life, basically, where I learned about the mind and the heart. And, of course, naturally, I think I gravitated back to the heart fairly easily because I was running a spiritual business. And I would start to catch myself, when I'm having a negative thought. And so it gets easier, to come back to that frequency and to monitor your frequency as opposed to have this, in and out of fear all day long or in and out of judgment. So
very true. Very true.
So those are the I guess you'd say the triads, the pillars of light that we work with in the school. And it's going to continue to evolve, though. I know we're going to be working with gene therapy very soon. A lot of channeling for me and a lot of class that I'll have to take with the whales to understand that better.
I found the same thing to be true. Is there's a lot of information, what I call offline, off planet, that
Yes.
I don't have to figure it out because the information is there. It's just a matter of saying, "Oh, okay, teach me," or
Right.
interacting.
Download it into your Akash. Yeah. Right. Isn't that nice? We don't have to go to. When I say go to school, I mean I'm in a channeling school. Basically, I get information and I write it down and play with it, experiment with it, bring it in. I can. Yeah.
We're restoring ourselves to our divine harmonics.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laurie. And I'm going to open the floor because I think some of these women who are on the call might have some great questions.
All right.
Planes flying. So I'm going to unmute everyone, and I'm going to mute myself, and I'm just going to trust that any of you who are here with us who have a question or a comment for Laurie, you can do that without me having to assign or call on you. So the floor is open, and who would like to speak? And basically, I've unmuted everybody but Teresa. Teresa will have to unmute herself because I can't do that here, evidently. And then but you're unmuted except for Teresa. And talk to Laurie. What do you have to say? Thanks, Laurie.
They're all speechless.
You go first, Shirley. What's up for you? How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great because I'm one of her graduates from the whale healing class.
Yes.
This is Teresa.
March 1st. Yeah.
And so I'm still doing these with other people, with my classmates, besides, family and friends, and working to set it up to do it for money. If I ever get a website set up, that is.
So Shirley and Teresa are both graduates of the 2019-2020 Whale and Dolphin Energy Medicine School. They did an amazing amount of work, and they just finished their internship and have graduated. So, yay, we've thrown them in the ocean now.
Yeah, it was an amazing amount of work.
A lot of work. Yeah. And you don't get it. I mean, you never get it all. It's just ongoing, which is, you start to understand why I hesitated to even form the schools, because I thought, how will we ever teach all of even the little bit I know to everyone? But what you realize is that as you become the channel or the voice for the whale, you don't need to know everything. You just do what they ask you to do and hold the space for the healing to happen. And it does. It does. Each person is different, but
I've been working on a friend who's a healer in Hawaii. We're sort of trading. And she said to me, this is the first time that any other healer or practitioner has actually been able to read me. She's talking about the whales reading her, not me,
Okay, right.
Yeah, so I said, so you want to keep doing this? And she said, oh, absolutely.
She's hooked now, huh?
Yeah, she loves it. And then she does her thing on me, and, it's a good trade.
Yeah. Well, what we should share, I don't think we did, is that the whales when I say they're the elders, I'm not joking around. They were the first beings to come here. They walked upright. They were humanoid. They have 5 fingers in their pectoral fins, some 500 million years ago. Can you imagine that? Having that kind of experience? And then eventually moving into the oceans, becoming a water being, and holding the frequency of the molecular librarians. Okay, the Akash for the planet is what they have access to. This is why they can heal you. They can look at every life, everywhere, every time, even before Earth, and they can see all your garbage, as well as your many gifts, your mastery, and come in and attune that. Nobody else I know can do that. And then we should tell the story of Dr. Todd Ovakaitis is one of the amazing scientists on the planet. Some of you may know he created the cure for heart disease and for AIDS, so many things over the years. And our government tried to kill him. So he took them to other countries, thank God. Now he has all the Nobel Prize peace awards from Russia because nobody over there needs to have heart problems anymore because of his discoveries. He's on the Cryon team. And Cryon is one of the beings, it's a channeled being that recognized my partner, Puddah. And we work with them now. Anyway, that's how I met him. And he's followed all the Puddahs, not just this one. Just this Puddah. Well, he's seen me with the other Puddahs too, and he's watched. In the back of the room, we set a massage table, and the person lays down. We invoke the whale energy. We put headphones on so they can hear the meditation in a blindfold. Puddah hops right up on the body and has been doing this for, I don't even know how many years. And Dr. Todd, of course, is observing this. And I remember being up in Yellowstone 2 summers ago, and Greg Braden was a part of the conference, and he was watching Puddah, and he said, "What is that cat really doing?" And Dr. Todd walked over and he said, "She's moving their stem cells. She's working with the whale, and she's like a laser focus. She's moving the energies and what that particular person needs in that particular time frame." So anyway, this particular man who's invented all these things, and in the Cryon work, he's recognized as the first human that built the healing temples in Lemuria. So he's very humble, as you can imagine, though, and of course very wise. He worked with Dr. Emoto before he passed away for a couple of years, actually. And they determined that the humpback whale sound, which is, of course, the foundation of our school, is the most healing sound on the planet. It was the only sound that was able to heal the Tokyo tap water when they were doing the water crystal experiments. And that the whale sound cleared the water. And not only did it clear the water, it formed little star tetrahedrons. The crystals that were in the water then were the light body. So the whale brings in the geometrical form of your light body. And probably gazillions of them are floating around in your body after you listen to whale sounds. So if you just did one thing to change your life today, if you played whale sounds in your house, everybody'd be better. Your family, the frequency, the vibration. You never ever listen to a word they said, you just listen to their sounds without really knowing what's happening, you would be healed of many things. Isn't that cool? One should know that. So at my house, I walk out, in the morning into the living room and have to decide what on the schedule that day, if I'm going to be working out there or I'm leaving the house or I'm working in my office. Most days it's in the office, and Puddah will say, "I don't hear any whales singing. You better get them on. I don't want to clean this house by myself." So we put the whales on a couple times a day and let them play in the background, plus during session work as well. So there's a lot of whales. But people walk into my house and they say, "How do you keep the vibration so high?" And I'm like, "Whales?" So that's a cool story we're sharing with our clients now, because some people want scientific proof. And I've been doing, 19 years with no scientific proof, just faith, because it works, And of course, this type of healing, energy healing, is never going to appeal to someone that hasn't had a heart opening. It's just not. They're just not going to lay down on the table and listen to whales. I know that. But if someone in their family will, or they know someone that will, then somehow it can seep in that way sometimes. Obviously, a lot more women are open to it than men. But then again, we've had a lot of men too, huh? We've had quite a few men in our school. So it's all about your belief system, your awareness, your perception of the world. So Teresa, do you want to talk about your experience in the school or what you're doing now? Are you there?
She's muted. There she is. Okay.
Here I am. I was listening while I was doing other stuff. I didn't want it to bleed over. My experience with Whale School has been just amazing. The group of people that have drawn together as a result of Whale School is just amazing. And there definitely are connections that will be maintained beyond the Whale School experience. I mean, we already see that happening, like Shirley said. It just was such a wonderful experience. It was a confirming, heart-opening experience to be involved with the whale and dolphin energy to that degree over that extended period of time. It definitely is a lot of work, but it is definitely worth every bit of it. Every session that we did on each other when we were practicing on each other, the facilitator gained just as much as the person being the client receiving the session. And I found in the internship practice when we were offering free sessions to people, the same thing continued to happen. I would experience, I'm sure, as much raise in my vibration, of a growth in just overall, I don't know how to put it, expansion, I guess, with each session that I would do. And
well, they say in giving we receive, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the more that we do, the more, and like Laurie said too, the easier it gets to stay in your heart and to stay out of the duality, and stay away from all of the outside world stuff, that chaos that goes on all the time, not even now, but all the time. It gets easier because when you're surrounded by the vibration and the sounds of the whales and dolphins, it just lifts you up in spite of yourself.
Yes.
Teresa, this is Sharon Raji Maynard. What was it that happened for you that drew you to eventually find the whale school? If you don't mind sharing.
No, not at all. I have known Laurie and been working with Laurie for a lot of years. We started out working together as a result of her radio show that she still has with Jennifer McLean on McLean Masterworks and McLean Healing. And I started listening to her radio shows, her and Puddah. And at one point they offered... they had a special that they offered, a 30-minute something or other, and I thought, this is too good to pass up, so I contacted Laurie and I took advantage of it. And as a result of that session, then she said that she was doing coaching, and would I be interested, that it seemed like I was a good fit. So I started working with her and with Puddah like that. Gosh, 2000...
Long time,
11, 12, 13, something like that. And it segued into some other things. And I took some of the classes that Laurie offered along the way. And as she was developing the whale school, the different segments of what turned out to be the whale school, there were a lot of times when we would meet with her for our call, and she would say, well, do you have anything in particular that you want to work on today? And I would say, not, I mean, I don't know of anything specific. And she'd say, well, the whales think it would be good if you would have this light body activation. And, do you have time to do that today? And I'd say, yeah, sure. So it was really fun then when I got into whale school. I kind of got drawn into it like that. And when I started studying it then, and we would learn, and she would say, okay, we're going to do, this is light body activation number 8. This is on manifestation. And she'd start, and I would think, I've done this. This sounds familiar. I've done this one. So just, she would talk more about it, and I I was able to go on one of the trips that she did to Bimini, that was a retreat kind of thing, to learn about the whales and the dolphins. And we had educational, part of it was educational, and we did guided meditations and sharing and lots of stuff like that. And part of it also was going out on a boat and being in the water with dolphins, which is amazing. And so I just was drawn more and more to it. And then when she put the first year of whale school together, and I was really tempted, and I couldn't make it work financially and time-wise. I just couldn't make it work. And so I thought, well, I'm disappointed, but we'll see. If I'm supposed to have it, it'll come around again. So she then brought it back for this second
right.
session. And I was able to make it work time-wise and financially. So, yeah, I was able to be a part of this. And it just seemed like a natural progression, the next step on the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and during this time, you were retired from your other job, so she's really been able to focus on it, yeah. I used to have a program called Spiritual Life Coaching, and I still do in a sense, but it's evolved more to whoever works with me on a package deal, for X amount of hours, so to speak, is coaching and healing, because that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't just want to talk about it anymore. We want to do something about it.
Exactly. How about the rest of you? Is there any other questions? We're just kind of at the end of our time together.
I'm going to mute myself again. Excuse me.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions that you might have or observations you might have while we still have Laurie here? The experiential wisdom that she brings.
So this is Tara Basili. I don't know that I have any questions, but I am fascinated. Absolutely fascinated. I feel like I grew up on the East Coast, spending summertime on Cape Cod, and just, I feel like I'm a fish or a mermaid anyway. So this is absolutely fascinating to me, and I've already jumped on your website. So
oh, good. I was going to say, visit the site if you have questions. We have pretty detailed website. Yeah.
And Shirley, I have to tell you, I haven't seen you in a long time, and I think you're aging in reverse. You look fantastic.
She does.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's part of the gift. Is the whales give us? They actually say that it's youthing. Turn the clock back.
And that's what I was thinking. You've got the that energy that's coming in and healing the DNA strands and all of those out of
the dolphins and whales say aging is a choice. So who knew, right? We can turn the clock back. Turn off the death hormone is what they say, which is the aging hormone.
We can talk about a whale healing session.
Yeah.
That so much of those ancient truths have been hidden from us, really.
Yeah.
And wherever we find that information coming back,
right.
It's a natural progression, and people can start where they are at. It's like you said, some people may not understand, but that's okay. Wherever they are drawn to new information, to let them step outside their box. Step outside the box.
There are no boxes.
Outside the box. And then you go beyond that box and beyond that. And pretty soon you have a picture, a bigger picture of who we are and what we're about and who is here to help us than you would have ever thought about. Yeah. So the value in having so many different modalities and voices all aligned to saying, you guys have no idea who you are, and let me show you this, and let me show you that, and let me activate this, and let me activate that. We are in amazing times. And what are we in? We are in the recovery called home retreat. We may not all be like you were by the beach where the dolphins could come directly, but we all have right now that opportunity to embrace what leaders in the world are saying to do. Go home. Okay, where's home for me? Well, it's Woodby Island, but it's not just Woodby Island.
Right.
It's beyond. It's beyond. And who exists in that place beyond the planet, what I would perceive with my physical senses, that is home, that will lead me home. So tell us how how people can get a hold of you.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do summary-wise and how people can connect with you. That's where we're at now.
Okay.
Laurie?
Well, our website is lauriereyon.com, and it's spelled LAURIEREYON.com. That's LAURIEREYON.com. My email is lauriereyon@yahoo. Want to email me? My phone number is 619-271-9461. 619-271-9461. I welcome phone calls. I mean, if you have questions, why not? Call me up. If I can't pick up the phone, I'll call you back. Okay? So if you feel in your heart that this is an opportunity for you that maybe you didn't know about, to really go and take a deep dive, maybe a virtual tour in the sense of one of our workshops or one of our classes, or get on our mailing list. If you go to my site and you join the mailing list, the first thing we do is we give you our movie. And our movie was, it's like 6 years of really hard work with about 68 people that worked on it. And it's a step-by-step primer on how to raise your vibration. It's called Ascension Guidance, Living in Your Sacred Heart. And the whole second half of the film is about dolphins and whales and the channels that they bring us, and beautiful visuals of them, including at the end, we do a short light body activation where we go into the eye of the whale. And it's really beautiful. So I'd love to give everybody that gift that doesn't have it, to have the visual of our film. It will come back to you digitally. See what the whales would say. So they want you to remember who you are. And in awakening to that truth of who you are, they can accelerate that for you. Basically, this is what they've said, that we are the elders, and we offer the opportunity to the humans to unlock the mechanisms within you and open the crystalline seals that have been blocked. The great whales have shared that they are the keepers of the codes of creation, and they are the galactic ancestors. And they seek now to connect with humans that are ready to activate their dormant DNA and unleash this coding that can release you from emotional and physical blocks that keep you bound to the human story of duality. They can activate more of your crystalline DNA within you and assist you in transforming your water-based body into a light body. And they'll assist you in claiming your divine spiritual gifts of telepathic communication, natural healing, alchemy, and remembering your divine life mission. And lastly, connecting to the sacred geometry of your own living light field, which we call the Merkaba, to tune your fields to the communication of the galactic and the angelic frequencies. And then lastly, it's time for each of us connect to the world light grid to become an activated being of service for Mother Earth by working our energy in connection to the crystalline grid, which is often thought of as the compassion grid. So if any of that, resonates for you, or working with your animals, I started out as an animal communicator, interspecies communicator. I do a lot of that, one-on-one sessions. I work with the Akashic Records. I think one of my gifts really over the last 10 years has been to help people who want to work with me for a little while, a few sessions, is to get them in touch with their guides, to activate the telepathic link so you can communicate with your master guides. Everyone has 3 guides. And they'd just be doing backflips to talk to you, because right now they're here, they're 24/7 with you, but they can't necessarily have a conversation with you yet. Okay? So we all have that gift. Don't think that it's just me or Shirley we all have this gift. We just have to work it. But think of somebody that might walk in to your front door today and they might say, "Hey, I decided to run the Boston Marathon." And you'd say, what would you say to them? "Well, that's great. You must be out running, right? You must be out practicing." And they might say, "Oh, well, I haven't started yet." So you would encourage them to get started, right? Start running so that they can run the marathon. A little bit like that. I'm not saying it will be a marathon. I'm saying it takes some practice. And once you get rolling on this path of light, people all wake up differently. Some wake up right away. Some, the telepathic link is, what it's really about is trusting yourself, about having faith in your ability to do it. So often people will say to me, "Well, it feels like I'm making it up, Well, that's because you don't yet know that being's voice. And then people will say to me all the time, "How do you know when you're communicating with Puddah? How do you know it's her?" And I'm like, "Well, how do you know it's your mom on the phone? Right? How do you know your mom's voice on the phone?" No, you just do. It's like that. You get comfortable with that. So did you not know that everyone has a voice? So you get comfortable with that voice of your guides, and in this case of the dolphins and the whales, or your dog, because they all want to talk to you, and you will become acclimated to their voice. They will share that with you, but they're going to have to use your voice first to get to you. Okay? So I think, let's see, you could do a little prayer here. Well, this is more of a closing message, okay? We are the dolphins and whales, and we advise you to move deep into your sacred heart each day, every day in the morning, and take the time to balance the divine feminine and masculine energies in your body. As you connect with Mother Earth and Father Sun, you are accessing the highest potential of balanced energy available to you as a human. Then move consciously into the sacred heart, pardon me, and tune to the crystalline transmissions that are emanating from the Earth's grid systems. Visualize the Earth Star Ascension Portal and connect your energy to the pathway that is being created for us to ultimately ascend. Ask to release any fear or trauma or pain or unresolved anger from your body and mind. The whales and dolphins are anxious to assist you in clearing all realms of your existence and begin to integrate new multidimensional frequencies that are yours to claim. You are becoming a light being, and this is the lifetime you have waited for. Turn your frequencies now and your consciousness to the truth and the wisdom of who you really are. Claim that, and be love. Namaste and many blessings.
The podcast Gazelles and the Phoenix is brought to you by those who are sponsors of my Patreon community called Deep Roots. You can find that community on patreon.com/A Mystic's View. What we are doing is creating deep roots through adding our unique ways of being in life and contributing in life, as we see in Gazelles, and share with your friends. Those who want to know how they can help and support us, join us at Patreon or share the podcasts. Definitely rate our podcast 5 stars, of course, and always look for us on Facebook, A Mystic's View, and the Gazelle and the Phoenix is also found there. Subscribe, listen, and help us expand.